And welcome back to Beyond the Devastation. This is episode 13. My name is John Perez. I'll be your host for this afternoon, and I am really, really excited about this next guest. This is a young man who's used writing for healing, and he's used it to speak his story, to take his words and to talk about his pain, and to really help a society understand more about mental health and how we need to really bring this to a bigger venue so people know that people are out there hurting. But he's used words to be able to have people hear so it can reverberate through their soul as this condition has touched him, but now he's looking to touch others with his words. And his name is, this is a powerful name, Timothy Paul Brown. I mean, you talk about a big name for a big man who's willing to share his story. I'm going to bring him on this afternoon and introduce him. There he is, Timothy Paul Brown. I am so excited, to be interviewing you this afternoon. And what I wanted to make sure is that if people want to see and to get his poetry, you could go right here, www.timothyspoetry.com, timothyspoetry.com. You can hear his story. He speaks the words. It's powerful. Timothy, good afternoon and welcome to Beyond the Devastation. I'm so honored to talk to you today.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to talk to you as well.
Yeah, and folks, listen, we went through some things to get him on, but we were not giving up until we did. Timothy, I had an opportunity to listen to a lot of your words, your spoken word, and heard a lot of pain, heard a lot of things that you went through. And if you could take us to that place, and this was powerful for me when I read it. You said one pill at 18 changed your life. Can you take us back to that time and talk about that one moment?
It is very, very disturbing for me. It's repetitive as far as the memories are concerned, which means I relive it on a daily basis. Basically, when you're reading a book and you remember the book word for word, that's exactly what happens in my past.
Wow.
To make a long story short, I was on the street as a result of acting out in my household, stealing, lying, cheating, all kinds of things like that. And I was thrown out of my house and I was on the street. I was homeless for a while. Couldn't find a place to sleep, couldn't find food. So I was doing everything I could just to stay alive. Okay. Even though I didn't have those necessary things, I still found a way to get high. And at first, it was marijuana. Okay. I had tried some cocaine before that, but my main drug of choice was marijuana. What happened was I had tried a mescaline pill. That was the beginning of my schizophrenia, my paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah, and I read that and I heard that, and I listened to your video that you posted, and you said that you started having hallucinations. You got the diagnosis of paranoid schizophrenia, but take us through that time, because I think you even said that, you were literally hearing voices, and it was, I want people to go to your site and read it, and I'm going to put it back up so people can. Timothy'sPoetry.com. You want to, I can't do it justice. And, but please take a moment to check it out. Timothy, you started hearing voices, you said, and it even got to a point of where you had to be put into, what they tried to do is help you, put you into facility. How was it at that time at 18?
It was terrible. No 18-year-olds should be able to should enter into the world like the way I did. Most 18-year-olds at that time are having their first car. They're working, going to school, maybe get their own apartment, girlfriend. I didn't have those things. I started out on the street, jail, state hospital. That was my entrance into the world.
Wow. So how long were you in the state hospital?
3 months.
And how long were you incarcerated?
A month.
A month. So 4 months of your life, and you were introduced to that part at 18, right?
Yes.
But then I and going through your story, these are the things that really stood out, because these are the things nobody wants to talk about. And I'm really glad that you really did. You talked about, childhood trauma.
Yes.
Suicide attempts. You drank rat poison.
Yes.
You tried to hang yourself.
Yes.
And you're here.
Absolutely, yes.
And I think the other thing is, I mean, as a pastor, I was reading and listening, but you said you had really some tough times with your faith.
I did.
But now, we'll talk about that later, because it's certainly been a part of who you are. But take us through those times where you struggled with, and you thought about taking your life, and then and tell the people what you committed to God that you wouldn't do.
Well, it's hard.
As best
I had a distorted idea of what God was. Very distorted, because the hallucinations were very much messianic type hallucinations, which a lot of people don't understand, where you have these grandiose ideas about who you are as a person. So that's where my unhealthy understanding of who God was came from the drugs. Okay. When you have these delusions and these hallucinations, the first inclination is to go with, I'll tell you this. Everybody wants to be able to trust their perceptions. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
When you have perceptions that the devil is after you, what are you going to think? When you have perceptions that you are some kind of God, that's what you think. Okay? That's what was going on. It took years for me to understand who God really was. It took years for me to understand that.
But I'm grateful that you've had those years to get to that point, right?
Absolutely, yes.
I think about it. The rat poison could have taken you out of here. The trying to hang yourself could have taken you out of here.
Yes.
But I thank God for his mercy that you're still here, right? That we can share this story with the world, that through it all, you're still here. And, one of the things that I noticed on your website, and, the moniker that you use, is that you call yourself the Poetic Madman. How did you come up with that?
That I came up with that title when I published my first book, and this was early on last year, 2021, and the name just kind of took. Where I came up with it, I have no idea, but basically because I'm a poet and I'm considered to be what people would call mad or madman, like schizophrenia, mad. That's what people think you're mad. It just took. It made sense.
And I think you mentioned this, and it's so true. Perceptions then become reality, right? I mean, in your case, that people say, "Oh, he's a madman." We remember him when he was running the streets.
Yeah.
And how has it been to overcome some of those perceptions now as an adult? How have you? Because to climb out of that hole is not easy.
I had to start with myself first.
Okay.
I had to start placing stigmas on myself. And once I started doing that is when I started overcoming.
Oh, that's powerful. How did if you could give somebody a helpful hint, how did you start overcoming some of those stigmas?
Well, I was saved in 2004.
That helps.
It took a long time for me to get to the point where I am now. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of insight. Took a lot for me to get to this point, but I have been very steadfast in my faith, and I've been a lot of things have been revealed to me. So that's basically how things have happened.
So the first big tip we can give you: look, he found and has a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
Absolutely, yes.
And that started his inner working so that he could start developing on the inside that what now is coming out on the outside. And that is so key.
Yes.
To the turnaround and the deliverance. And I know, Timothy, from my own personal life that, look, I remember when they told me I had PTSD and they gave me this, psychotropic, basically cocktail as the psychiatrist was calling it. I mean, I was on all this stuff. I didn't know if I could stand, sit, or even, go to the bathroom by myself with all the stuff that they were giving me.
Yeah.
But I thank God that in 2013, he delivered me from it. And, but one thing that I really valued what you said in your bio was you found a therapist that really turned it around for you. And I believe you said in 17, how that relationship really allowed you to, just like you said, you could go into the conversation and just be you.
Well, actually, it took a long time for me actually to get the therapist that I have now.
Right.
And
I know it doesn't happen overnight.
Yes. I've only been working with her since 2017.
Right.
Maybe you got those mixed up. 2017, age 17.
Yeah, because I think it was 17 is when you said you found I won't give her name, but yeah, you found it's on your website. But
that was 2017.
Yeah, but that was a big shift for you, because to find somebody that listen, when you're going through this stuff, to find somebody that believes you and understands you,
yes,
and really can really help you, it's hard. It really is. And not only that, but then there's a trust factor that you've got to develop, and a rapport with them, because that's really what turns the tide here. But Timothy, I looked at some of the poems that you did in spoken word, and give me some sense, and so that people understand, when you wrote Voices, what was the premise behind Voices?
I was actually hearing voices at the time.
Well, I know. That's why I want you to explain it. Yeah.
Well, what happens is my poetry always deals with what is happening at that moment. So it can be, my poetry is not always the same. It always deals with what's happening at that time. So at that time, I was hearing voices. I said, well, let me write about it. 'Cause like you said, it's my redeeming quality.
It really, for folks that know, when you're going through this stuff, it can be the biggest therapy that you know, that kind of get,
Yeah.
to kind of go through this, because I really love, I listened to the piece on what is. I went through a lot of them, and but the one thing I heard in one of them was that I just wanted a place to belong.
Yes.
And it really spoke to me, because I know what that is, and I related to it, because I said, most of us just want a place where we can belong. Like you said, at 18, most kids, first girlfriend, car, job, you spent your first 4 months in an institution and in jail.
Yep.
And then being, tagged with schizophrenia, and that tag, just like an inmate, that number defines them, right?
Yeah.
And that becomes that thing that people in society see us as. They don't see us the human, they see the diagnosis. And I love what you said. And I love what you said, that it took some time for you to get rid of that stigma.
Yeah, it really did. But like I said, it came from the inside, because you can't change how other people are going to think about you. You can only change what you think about you. And you always have to remember what God thinks about you.
Wow.
And God loves you beyond measure. So whatever it
You
is
just dropped
other
the mic
people
right
think,
there.
yes. Whatever it is other people think, it means nothing.
Wow.
It means nothing.
Folks,
Only what you think and
yeah,
what God
folks,
thinks.
listen, I want you to visit his website. It's powerful. It is powerful. It's right there on the screen, timothyspoetry.com. Not only he shares it in spoken word, and you can hear the emotion, you can hear him as he talks about it, and it's powerful to hear the author himself speak it into existence and speak life into this. It's unbelievable. Timothy, if you could talk to your younger self, what would you say right now? How would you, and because at the minute you're doing that, you're talking to a lot of other people that are going through your circumstance. What would you tell people today?
Love yourself. For so long, I did not love myself. And even today, I'm plagued by that.
Wow.
But bring yourself out of blame. Bring yourself out of shame. Bring yourself out of guilt. Bring yourself out of self-doubt. Bring yourself out of all these things that hold you back from the glory of God. That's what I would tell myself.
The shame, the guilt.
The shame, the guilt, that will take away the pain, take away all the self-doubt. Try work on your self-esteem and live for the reason that you are made for here, to be here for. And like it says in the Bible, it says, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all your soul and all thy mind. That's what we're supposed to do. That's the very first commandment. That's exactly what we should be doing.
I'm a pastor. I didn't want to preach today, but he's doing a really good job of it. These are words to live by. And you know what? Regardless of where you are in your walk spiritually, these translate across everything. The shame, the guilt, the insecurities, where does the anxiety and the depression come from? Because he talked about it in the beginning. He said, there's a lot of childhood trauma. And when nobody loves you or nobody says the words, and then you go, as my mom used to say, you go looking for love in all those wrong places, it leads you down paths that you don't even want to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, I go back to that one phrase that really I really looked at and hold on to, is that one pill changed his life.
Mm-hmm.
And then one instance changed his life too in 2004.
Yep.
And listen, it doesn't cancel out the scars, but it allows you to heal. When he
Yeah.
came and he found the very person that he had been running from.
Yep.
And here he is today. And you know, Timothy, I really love what you put in there. You said you made God a promise that you wouldn't try to take your own life anymore.
Yep. There's
And
certain things in life I promise God that I will not do. And one of those is try to commit suicide.
what other promises did you make?
Smoking, not to smoke cigarettes again.
And you said you did that for 24 years.
That's drugs and alcohol. I stopped that 25 years ago.
Wow. And how
But
young are you now?
I'm old. I'm 57.
Hey,
57.
listen. I'm 50. I'm 57 too, man. I was born in 64. You young. We're still young, Timothy. We're still young. 57 is the new 30. Come on.
Yeah.
We're young. We listen, you know, folks, again, it's back up on the screen. It's been on the screen because it's that powerful. Timothy'sPoetry.com.
One other thing I promised was that I would never drink or get high again.
So you made those commitments to God, but you also said in yourself that I wasn't going back there.
Absolutely.
You knew how it affected you. And I think that sometimes we have to talk about this is a little bit, is that I know in my own personal walk, like you said, that there's an enemy out there that wars with us, trying to bring us back to that old life.
Yes.
And draw you back because he doesn't want you to be successful. He doesn't want you to be whole.
Mm-hmm.
And Timothy, explain to everybody, because that been where you've been. Do you struggle with that every day as far as trying to stay in that place that you're in?
I build up strength. The more time I stay away from those things, I build strength.
And how do you build that strength, Timothy? What do you do to help yourself with that?
It's hard to explain. It's like out of sight, out of mind, basically. It's like if you haven't had a cigarette in 16 years, of course, it's out of sight. It's out of your mind, basically.
So even when you walk in let's say you're walking down the street and you smell a cigarette, there's no thoughts of that trigger it anymore. You're basically got that out of your system.
It actually turns me off. I hate the smell of smoke. I hate the smell of smoke. Wow. It gets me actually physically sick. So with that reminder, it tells me that it's something that I know I do not want to go back to. And also, it's second nature at this point. It's not something I fight with. It's second nature.
Folks, I think, look, that is so key, what he just said. It's now become second nature. He gets really ill if the smoke even comes into his presence, because he's had a transformation.
Yes.
And it really started for him in 2004.
Yes.
And when he gave his life to Christ, and it's been a long walk. Timothy I think some people have the perception that the minute you get saved, that everything is just a bed of roses.
I didn't quit smoking till 9 months after I got saved.
And it's a process, right, Timothy? I think people need to understand this is a process that he's been through.
Well, people couldn't stand the smell on me at church. They didn't want to be near me. They didn't want to sit near me. They didn't want to talk to me. So that was motivation for me. And it hit the head when a young lady at the church I was interested in, I was crazy about, told me that I stink. And that was it. I said, look, I got to quit. God, if you show me a way, I'll definitely quit and won't go back to it. And he stopped me one night.
That's
2 pack-a-day habits are nothing.
wow. You talk about the power of words,
Yep.
and that was powerful. And
Yep.
Timothy, as we wrap up this afternoon, just talk to everybody for just a moment, and just in your own words, just tell them, how you got beyond the devastation.
Wow. So many things. First and foremost, I would not be able to do it without my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I would not be able to do it. He gave me the gift of words. I put those words down. For years, I had the writing, but I never knew the power of those words until I had my first book published. And I started getting feedback, and people were saying, wow, it's great. You've helped me so much. You've helped my son. You've helped my brother. You've helped this. It's so great what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I want to keep up with you. I want to know when your next works are coming out. So these things have really given me a reason. So he gave me a purpose, and that's my purpose, to bring my gift of words to the world.
Wow. And again, if you want to read those gifts, here they are. TimothysPoetry.com. TimothysPoetry.com. He's even got a contact page that you could reach out to him if you'd like him to come and speak at an event, and tell his story and share his life, because it is a powerful, powerful ministry that God has given him in the spoken word. And he's taken his pain, he's taken his problems, and made them a purpose. And it's a divine time in his life. And I just want everyone, please read him. It'll change your life. And again, one moment changed his life into devastation, but then beyond it, God was able to change it. So one time, just that one moment. Oh, I only tried drugs once. Listen, today they're being laced with fentanyl. It could blow your mind. We're seeing, Timothy, I'm seeing, I got some data the other day about accidental overdoses in the Black and brown community on opioid.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's on the rise. And you know what? I think stories like this can help us maybe put people back on a track of getting away from it. And I'm so grateful that we had a chance to meet. So grateful you had a chance to share your story. And I'm just overjoyed that I get to meet you today. And thank you for your time today. It's been invaluable.
You're welcome. I hope I've helped someone.
You listen, you helped me. So I'm going to try to help others, because you inspired me now with your words and your power of the powerful words that you put on for everyone to hear. It's been awesome. So listen, folks, share this episode. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on all the places that you get your podcast. You will be able to find it. Let me put it back. Let me put that up on the screen. So let's see here. So wherever you can find it, it's there. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple. It's on Google. Please, please, please avail yourself to this powerful, powerful segment, and it will change your life. Timothy, thank you. I'm going to play us out. Thank you, everybody. Be blessed.
Good night.